It's more of the, okay, well, yeah, she's right. I have this option now. I should probably think about it some more before I leave. And the fact that I didn't really know what my life was going to be after I quit. It's the unknown, jumping into entrepreneurship. Yes. I was single at the time. Didn't really know where my life was going to go in terms of I was going to quit my job, start a new career, start a business.
If you guys are like me and wanting to be more mindful about what's in your products, how many toxins are in your products, and making sure that you're putting good things on your skin and into your body, I highly recommend Osea. I did a total revamp on all my products, and this is one I have been using and now is a staple in my bathroom. I particularly love their Ocean Eyes Age Defining Serum. I feel like I don't have bags under my eyes anymore, and I just feel really good putting this on my skin, knowing something good is going on my skin and into my body. So if you want to check out Osea's products, use our code QTCPOD10 to get 10% off your first purchase.
Well, Diana, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We connected forever ago, and we connected on Podmatch, which I think you rarely go on there. I rarely go on there, but I saw your story and I was like, I need to have her on this podcast. And I was so grateful because, again, I'm not on there much. And right, so it's like meant to be that we connected, but we talked. We don't even remember how long ago we talked. We were like months ago.
It feels like decades ago now.
I was like, we're going to get to LA. We didn't even have the date planned yet. I was like, we're going to come to LA. We're going to do this in person. So we're here. We made it.
We're here.
And
time flies.
Time so fast. I can't believe we are in February. It's February 1st. Oh my God.
It is February 1st.
Yeah. And so, I want to talk about a lot today, your journey. Yeah. A lot of the things that we talk about on here is egg freezing, but it's also about just everybody's unique individual journeys, about finding your own path, getting aligned with really what you want. And I know that's your journey. It's a lot of your journey. So let's start there with just your journey in life.
Well, I'm an open book. I'm very transparent. So ask me any questions and then I'm here to share, right? So for me, I don't know how far back we want to go, but this whole egg freezing journey for myself, started at Thanksgiving dinner.
I know. My God. Yes. Tell the story because you told me when we previously spoke and I was like, this is so funny and great.
Oh, and it's like a scene out of a movie, because I'm the oldest of three girls.
Okay.
And so my two younger sisters are both married with kids. I'm married, no kid. At that time, I was single.
Yeah.
And they're married with kids. So
and
the eldest.
How old were you at this time?
I was, oh my gosh, let me think about 34.
Okay. So I was 34 when I met Rob.
Yep. Okay. So that was actually around the same time I met my husband now.
I know. And that's another funny story that we're going to get to. We're going to get to that story because that's a good one too.
We have very similar stories because I saw, on your Instagram, like pictures, you're 40, pregnant, and we're in that discussion too right now. Great. But it's just, we'll get there. But Thanksgiving, so my sister's a doctor. And of course, we're all eating, Thanksgiving dinner. And then she goes, at the time I was working at Microsoft, and she's like, you should really freeze your eggs before you leave.
And you're like,
yeah. I'm like, we're having this conversation now. In front of my parents, everybody else.
It's everybody's business. It's out in the open.
It's out in the open. Because at the time I was working at Microsoft and they just started rolling out with these benefits.
Yeah.
And it's brand new. And then of course, after that, all the tech firms followed suit. Google,
which is amazing Amazon, because it's freaking expensive.
It's expensive. And now it's becoming a norm, which is a good thing. That more and more of my friends in my network are coming to me asking questions about egg freezing.
That's amazing.
Because it's now a very an option that you can have as a choice. So at the time I was about to quit, because I was going to go.
Yes. And that's part of the, let me just ask you this first, prior to this moment at Thanksgiving dinner, where your sister just puts it out there, had you thought about egg freezing?
No.
No, you hadn't. So this was the first moment.
This was the first moment. Cause I was just like, 34, I'm not really thinking, I'm more career focused in terms of there was a lot of transitions already going on in my life that I've already made the decision to leave and quit my full-time job, this 15 plus year career in finance, to go into fashion and open up my own business. It's like, okay, that's huge in itself. And so thinking about kids, I'm like, oh, okay. Until she brought it up. And that's when she made me think about it, because it's benefits that are being offered to you. And normally it's just really expensive if it's not covered, as you know. And so I thought about it more and more. And it was funny because during that time, I was very transparent with my team at Microsoft. Everybody knew what I was doing and what my long-term goals are.
So they knew that you were thinking of leaving.
Okay. Yeah. And I was very transparent of giving my manager a runway of 2 months or 3 months or whatever I'm planning to quit. So let's start transition planning now. And so very transparent and very blessed to have like a team. And
I think there's a lot of work environments where that can't be the conversation, or I've had clients that just have to hide that they're interviewing, and it's a scramble to like, you can't go, well, this is pre-COVID, but go in with the suit, but because that's not normal. So you're finding like a Starbucks bathroom to put the suit on and go to the job interview. So that's amazing that you had that space to be transparent and
very, very blessed with that. And I think it's because it's finance to fashion. There's no competitor in that, you know?
It's like not, they're not like butthurt, or it's not like personal, like you're going somewhere better.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, oh, fashion. Okay.
Good luck.
So they were very supportive. And that time after that conversation, I thought about it some more, and I actually went to my boss at the time, and told them, I'm going to extend my stay because I'm going to freeze my eggs.
So transparent there too. I love that.
So he looked at me, he's like, what is he going to say? He was like, okay, do whatever you need to.
So when the seed finally gets planted, like what sort of thoughts, or because you hadn't thought about it previously, and tell me if I'm wrong, maybe there weren't the narratives, because I know narratives that came up for me or other women is like, I'm running out of time, I'm behind, or it's comparative to like, you had 2 sisters that were married. Like, did any of that come up before or more after, or at all, or ever?
No, none of that before.
Okay.
Afterwards, it was more of she's right. I have this option now. I should probably think about it some more before I leave. And the fact that I didn't really know what my life was going to be after I quit. It's the unknown, jumping into entrepreneurship. Yes. I was single at the time. Didn't really know where my life was going to go in terms of I was going to quit my job, start a new career, start a business, move to LA, all of this.
Oh my God.
You know? And so I'm like, well, maybe she's right. I should probably just freeze my eggs, and who knows where this is going to go, or when I'm going to meet my future husband.
Which, that happened. Did you know anything about egg freezing? Did you know anyone that had done it?
Nope. At that time, of zero.
Yeah.
Nobody that I knew in my circle, in my network at that time, talked about egg freezing or any of it, to the point where, so this was in Seattle. And so, of course, that triggered me to, of course, go research some more. What's the best reproductive place to do this?
Yeah.
And I don't know now, but at the time it was SRM, Seattle Reproductive Medicine.
Okay.
It's the largest group in Seattle doing this. And so I went to them, did kind of like ask them questions, and that consultation with.
Yes. What was that like for you? Because mine was not great.
Oh, really?
Well, I was 37. So similar to you. So with 37, 42, math is not my, so 5 years ago, like math. I knew one other person. Yeah. I didn't know anything about it. And then and now so many different conversations are happening. Yes. There's so many more resources. There's so much different knowledge and narratives. But for when I was doing it, it was like 37's the cliff and you're done. And like, it's all over. And so I remember leaving there just like, one, you're overwhelmed to be there. Period. And all this new information you're learning is overwhelming. And then when you look at a chart that's like, this is this drastic decline, I left there like just hysterical.
Yeah. For me, it was overwhelming as well, of like, okay, this is the statistics and this is what you need to do.
Yes.
And like the amount of eggs that, and you're like, okay, information overload. And this is pre-COVID, obviously. And so there were more, they were more available. Resources were available to handhold you through the process. The nurse that I had through this whole process was great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Here's the calendar. This is what to expect. These are how many times you need to come in and do your blood test and ultrasound and da da da. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah, right. And then you're trying to live life at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah, juggle all of that. I remember too, like trying to rearrange clients. And then in the beginning, you don't know what days you're going, what days the retrieval is, or all these things. So you're sort of just like
in limbo, kind of.
In limbo, trying to, yes. And then do all the life things at the same time.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, might as well just do it, and I went through the process, and it was pretty having, like I said, the right people on your team.
Yes,
like the
that's
nurse
so
and the
huge.
doctor, and making sure that you're just know what to expect the entire time was very helpful.
Yeah.
I did do a video for them because at that time, it was still kind of new. And so they're trying to do things like this to put it out there for people, and educate people.
Yes, education.
On what it is and how. So I think if you go onto the SRM website, I'm on there somewhere.
Oh my God, I have to go. I didn't see it. I have to go on there. I'm going to go on there after this.
Because I did an interview. They're like, hey, tell us about your process and what to expect. And, and I even gave feedback to my own doctor afterwards, where I'm like, you need to tell your clients, patients, that for me, after the procedure, they tell you to take the day off, of course. But then I went back to work straight away the next day, which I thought was a very bad idea afterwards. Because I don't know about you, but during was great for me. I was on this hormonal high, but then afterwards it felt like that huge dip in hormones where you're not giving yourself hormone shots every day anymore.
I know the things your body goes through is crazy. The guest we just had on before had the same experience, like great through it, like feeling good. She's like, I was going on dates. And then 2 weeks after was like this, harder for her.
Mine was right immediately. Yeah. Like the next 2-3 days afterwards, it was just a huge dip. And again, I'm a very transparent person. So my team knew that I was going through this, and I had my PM would run across past my office door because she's like, I don't want to deal with it right now.
Her hormones are raging.
They're like, next time, can you stay home?
You're like, yeah. So that was your feedback to the doctor. Just,
take it easy for the next few days. If you want to go back to work, I don't know why, but want to go back to work remotely, or just take it easy and not just book a bunch of meetings or schedule a bunch of things right afterwards, because you do need those 2 to 3 days afterwards just to kind of level yourself out afterwards. So
I had a girlfriend. So the one friend that I knew that had done it, I'd asked her that of what to expect after. And she's like, oh, I was fine. I went shopping with my mom. And so I just had expected, based on the one experience that I knew about, to have that energy. And I remember after my retrieval, I was like out for the count. I was like, I'm just going to lay on this couch and do nothing. Yeah. What did you feel like? So what did you feel like emotionally during and after? Like, you hadn't really thought about it. Now you're in it. Now you're doing it. Now your timeline has shifted a little bit to leave the job to do this. Like, were you feeling empowered? Were you feeling, I don't know. What were you feeling?
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, your question's making me reflect on it. During the process, it was, like I said, this high off of hormones, and my friends I would do get together at my place with girlfriends and like a potluck and stuff like that. And they would just tease me. They're like, you're glowing. I'm like, okay. But it felt great. And I didn't think anything besides the fact of, in my head, like just checking the box. So like, okay, I just need to get this done. Initially, the first time that you give yourself the shot, because essentially you have to become your own nurse. Mixing the things together, the needles, all of that.
Are you okay with needles?
I'm okay with needles. Fortunately, I'm okay with needles. And so, but I was just very nervous in the beginning with my first.
You want to get it right.
Exactly.
Too. It's like, oh my God.
No bubbles, no this,
God,
flick the needle. You're like, okay, did I do this right? And I would rewatch the video over and over and over again. And it took me all of like 30 minutes for my first 2 or 3.
And by the end, you're like, boop, 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 boop.
Yeah. By the end, I'm like drinking a shot of espresso, putting my makeup on and like, oh, got to do my shot and then done. Yeah. But that was my experience. And so, and leading up to it, they did, they warn you that it's going to be kind of painful, but don't worry out. Don't do anything strenuous towards the end. And that was very true. You're like, okay, not wearing jeans, not wearing anything tight. Exactly. And so that whole process, I had a great, I did 2 rounds. So
you did 2? Okay.
2 rounds. They gave me the options. Like, well, at your age, 34, we got 7. So you might want to do 2 just to make sure,
So going into it, did you know you would do 2 or just based on the first experience? So what was that like for you to like go through all of this?
Yeah.
Do the retrieval and then have to decide to gear up and do it again?
Yeah. I think for me, it was because the first process was so easy in my mind, fortunately, that I was okay to do the second round. Mm-hmm. And so it was an easy decision to go, I probably should just do it and be done with it.
Yeah.
And the second round was when I met my husband.
Yes. Tell that story, because I think that story is so amazing. Yeah.
The irony, right? They're like, I don't know when I'm going to meet someone, so I might as well just do it. And I end up meeting my husband during the second round. And it was, as you know, it happens when you least expect.
Oh my
God. People say it all the time.
You know what?
But it's actually true.
Oh my God. I know. And that, when I met Rob, that kind of annoyed me, because when I was single, everyone used to tell me, and it's like,
and you hated hearing it.
I hated hearing it. And then I met Rob just like that. I'm like, these motherfuckers were right. Yeah. They were right the whole time. Exactly. I was like, damn it. I was so mad at them, and they were exactly right.
I thought the same thing with Adam. I was going through I was about to go through my second round. So I finished my first round. And during that process of finishing the first round, I already had my procedure. I was the maid of honor at my best friend's wedding. And that's how I met my husband, was at my best friend's wedding. This was what I least expected, because look, I'm freezing my eggs. I'm quitting my job. I'm moving to LA.
Yeah, you're not thinking about a relationship.
No. Yeah. And I didn't want to meet someone before I moved either.
Well, yeah.
So then after that, it took a long time until we got to our first date. It's like a whole story in itself. So we ended up going on our first date, and that's when I decided to do my second round. Mm-hmm. And so on our second date was during my second round. And as you know, you have to give your shots at the same time every day.
Yes. Life goes on.
Exactly. Got to make it work.
Yep.
And I don't stop. I'm the person, I will make it work. I won't stop.
Oh, God, yes. We have that capacity. We make it all work.
Exactly. Yes. And so this was during our second date. And I knew that I had to give my shot at 7 p.m. during dinner. And so I prepped my syringe, put it in the box, put it in my purse, set an alarm. And the alarm went off during dinner. And I'm like, excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom. So I go, take my purse and gave my shot in a women's public bathroom in a restaurant during my second date.
Yep.
And when I came out, and I thought to myself, I wonder if he just thought it was weird that my alarm went off and I took my purse to the bathroom. And so I told myself, you know what, I'm just going to tell him, because before I went on this date with him, a lot of my friends were like, maybe just don't tell him everything that you're doing, because that's going to intimidate him or scare him.
Oh, God, that comes up a lot on that, like with the dating of like, do you tell that you froze your eggs? How do you say it? When do you say it? It's all this angst around it.
Yeah. I mean, to that point, they were like, you're moving, you're quitting your job, you're starting a business, you're freezing it. Maybe not tell him that.
Like all the things. Don't throw it all on him at once.
Exactly. But, after coming out of the bathroom, I thought about it, and I thought to myself, well, if he doesn't like me or love me or whatever with everything that I have going on, then he's not the right person for me.
Yeah.
So I told him, I'm like, look, this is what's going on. This is why I went to the bathroom. I'm in the middle of freezing my eggs. This is the process. And he looked at me and he said, good for you.
You're like, all right, I'll hang on to this one.
Yeah, you're like, take charge of your life, Amazing. He's like, that's very admirable. And when I had my retrieval procedure, he remembered and he sent me flowers.
That's right. You told me this.
Yeah, he sent me flowers. And that was when I was like, oh, he's a keeper.
Yep, I'll hang on to this one.
I'll hang on to this one. So yeah, that was my second time, was during my second date with my now husband.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. So yeah, where from there? Like, what was it like? Because I know you're an open book. You're here with us. Like, what was it like to, and you said some of your friends now are reaching out to you. What was it like when you started to share about, like, what were some of the responses? What were people asking, saying?
So there's 2 different camps now. It's one that are like considering it, or they have already done it, but they'll come to me and ask me questions like, what was your experience, and what to expect, or some will need help with shots because they can't do it themselves, you know? So I have those. And then the other are, I wish I thought of it, because it's too late for me now.
I know there's a lot of that. I wish I had done it sooner. But, you know, some of the guests that we have had on recently, and one earlier this morning, one tomorrow, and we already had another one, froze in their 40s. So I think it's just this why these conversations are so important, because there's really these old, you know, misunderstandings about what age and all of these things. And I think that it's not, if you're 30, I froze at 37, 39, 40, 41, it's not too late.
It's not
but
too
late. Yeah. So I think it's helpful to put that out there and to know, at least go get checked, and finding a good doctor, because I know some doctors will discourage women that are older, or so that's so important, is finding someone that would just like explore it with you before you just say, oh, I'm this age. It's too late.
I'm glad you said that, because the women, because yes, it's never too late, and you need to find a good doctor that will go the extra mile to help you and support you. But the women that I was referring to are the ones that are truly like, they went to the doctor and they're like, there are no eggs for us to freeze. That kind of, you know, where they realize that I wish I thought about it before, but I didn't, because it wasn't
Nobody talked about it. No.
So I think what you're doing here is great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's the whole intention, is just getting more information out there, and just normalizing journeys that look different, or paths that look different. And, you know, I do want to talk a little bit about the career piece, because I think that is so aligned with everything that we're talking about, is like, we don't have to take these traditional paths, especially if we find ourselves having a calling to do something different. It's really about just being informed and knowing that it's okay to like want to do something different, or it's okay if you don't meet your partner till later, or it's okay if you are not sure about motherhood. Like, let's just have these conversations and normalize everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was actually having a conversation with my cousin on the way here, and I was telling him, I was like, you know, it's always good to just be transparent and honest with people, and make sure that you're not painting like this, it's all roses and rainbows and butterflies, and, you know, because then you can't have a real conversation that helps somebody else.
Right.
Because I find if I open up about my struggles or whatever I'm going through, that actually helps them feel safe.
Yeah, because people, talk about it. Yes, 100%. The vulnerability is so huge. And I think and this is the reason that this is a podcast now, is because I went through this in isolation, not knowing many people, not knowing much information. And then the second I did it and started sharing, it's like, oh, my clients are going through this. My friends are going through this. All these women are going through it. And it's like, wait a second, like this is what's going on, and we're not talking about it. And then, you know, anything when you have to hide, there's shame around it. There's feeling bad about yourself about it. It's like, no, you don't have to feel bad about it. Like, this is what it is. Let's like talk about it, and let's reconcile it. Let's heal it. Let's plan for it.
Yep. I agree. It's empowering, you know, to be able to do that, to make that decision, to freeze your eggs, and it's an emotional decision. It's an emotional process.
I love that you said that too, because I think there's that piece of it, the decision making piece. And I know this was my own experience, and a lot of women's that I'm hopeful with things like this, and anyone else speaking about egg freezing, and just more information we have out there, that women are informed enough to look into it sooner.
Yes.
But I did not feel empowered. I felt afraid. I felt overwhelmed. I felt angry that I was 37 and having to do this. Now, I froze in a relationship because we weren't aligned on our timelines, but empowered was not one that I felt, but I think that the more information women have and the opportunity to maybe look into sooner, it might be more empowerment than all the things that I felt.
Yes. And that's what we want to change, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like the more we talk about it, the more it's like, hey, it's okay.
Yeah,
like,
it's totally okay. It's great, in fact, that we have this option. It's great. There's more conversations. There's great that companies are offering benefits and like hopefully everybody's catching up.
Exactly.
I just saw someone sent something to me recently that like companies are adding more of these benefits to also stay competitive because people are choosing jobs based on whether or not they have this benefit.
Exactly. I mean, it's more and more women career focus and starting families later and later in life. You know, this should be the norm. This should be the direction we're going in terms of options.
Well, and just it being more inclusive in that, like some companies would just have it only for like couples going through IVF, but it's like, what about the single women that like also want to preserve fertility?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, with career and everything, it's timely that we're having this conversation is because it's been on my mind a lot. I'll be 40 in 5 months.
Ooh, big birthday.
Yeah, big birthday.
Are you doing something big to celebrate?
I want to.
Yes, you should.
I want to. And I'm like, hopefully I will. It's just with everything going on with work. And like I said, with Madison Saville having your own company. And then
we have to talk about your company because just what it stands for and the philosophy is so aligned with everything we want to message. But sorry to cut you off.
No,
we'll get there.
Good. I mean, Madison Saville, it's a women's blazers and suits brand. I'm wearing one of my blazers today. But it is about being on the journey with the woman and helping her be empowered and feeling inspired and encouraged in everything that we do. So with the design of our blazers, with, podcasts and community and charity events, because a portion of our proceeds go to charities that help women.
I love that.
And part of the design, Unstoppable and Fierce.
Oh my God.
Is what is lying on the inside. And then every new collection is going to be something different. And the second collection that we have coming out in the fall, winter is about, feeling confident and knowing it and understanding it's what's lining on the inside is believe it, feel it, see it.
Oh my God, I love that.
Because when you believe it and you feel it, the emotion that comes with it, you'll see it come to life.
Well, the feel it is so important because in my work as a therapist, so much we're in our rational mind, right?
Yes.
So you can say something to somebody and they're like, I hear it, but I don't feel it. And you can't attach to it and create change until you actually feel it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that.
So with that, I mean, that is just all part of the journey, right? And I feel like the purpose and the calling of doing things like this, where I'm like, the experiences that I go through, I want to share with people so then they know and I can be of service to them and they don't feel alone. And so with this, it's very fitting with career because 40 and my husband and I talk about wanting to have kids and we talk about more and more. But you hear a lot of people like, there's never a good time to have kids. You just have to have kids. And then you just work it out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know that, but there are better times.
Listen, and it's your life. You get to decide.
Exactly.
You get to decide.
So with that, I've said, I'm like, hey, I froze my eggs. At least I have that, and I don't feel that pressure.
Yes.
Of course I feel that pressure from my mother because, moms, they're like tick tock. And I'm like, I know
the freaking clock, but it's your mom's clock, not your clock.
Exactly. So
that's the thing too. It's like, sometimes it's everybody else's clock. It's not yours. It's society's clock. It's family. It's friends. It's all this external noise. And that's what's so important to get really clear on your own timeline and give yourself permission to honor that timeline and not feel the pressure of at this age, I'm supposed to have this and it's supposed to look like this and it doesn't look like this.
Everybody's is different.
Yeah. Everybody's is different.
And it's easy for other people to tell you, you have a kid. Yeah. I'm like, are you going to take care of that kid? Are you going to pay for daycare? So it's easy for someone to
wake up at 3 a.m.
Exactly. You're like, okay, yeah. Because that's exactly what happened between my mother and my sister. My mom being a mother is like, I want grandchildren. So she has a kid. And guess what? Now my youngest sister, she has a toddler and she's pregnant with number 2. And she's going through that right now where daycare is a mortgage.
Oh gosh, it's all expensive. It's all, it is.
And she's like, I mean, if I go to work, I probably net $10 to like, send my kids to a stranger to be watched all day while I go to work. Might as well just stay home and watch my kids.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of going through that thing. And I talked to my mom. She's like, oh yeah, So I'm like, yeah, see.
You didn't think about that part when you wanted grandkids. Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, it's easier for people to say, but they're not living your life.
No. Yeah. And whether it's like kids related, relationship related, timeline, anything, not just, yes, absolutely.
Totally. So fast forward, freezing my age at 34. Now that I'm 40 and I am facing that, yes, I know I'm turning 40. I want to have kids. But right now I'm like barely sleep because of everything going on. Like, how am I supposed to
I know. Well, you could, listen, we're expansive. We have unlimited capacity. That's my belief about women. And, when it's ready for you, you'll find the way to do it.
Exactly.
My very best girlfriend, she was on season 1. Her and I were like on the same journey and path, like always on the phone with each other, like walking ourselves off the ledge. And she just had she had her daughter a few days ago, and she's 43, about to be 44. So it's never too late.
Exactly. And again, back to your podcast and what you're doing and spreading the word and sharing these stories is amazing and phenomenal because
thank you.
That's exactly. People need to hear these stories.
Yeah,
people need to hear that it's never too late and hear all the stories and examples that are happening,
I found such reassurance in that before I had my son. So I got pregnant at 39, had my son at 40. Funny story. And Shelly was there. I was 8 months pregnant at my big 40th birthday bash. We went to Scottsdale. It was a blowout. It was so fun. But I was 8 months pregnant, but I still had so much fun. I forgot where I was going with that. What was I talking about? I just got into the Scottsdale 40th birthday and I'm like, just there right now.
It's never too late.
Yeah. It made sense for me then that was the right time for me. And that's what I was saying. I found such reassurance when I wasn't pregnant yet, but like I would see other people get pregnant and then I would look at their age. I'm like, okay, they're this age. Like you could still do it. So I found so much reassurance in seeing other people's stories about doing this later in life. And I think just now, recently, where more people are sharing, there wasn't that many stories out there. It was like, you meet in your 30s, you get married at this age, you have the babies at this time. And that was like one playbook for that. And that was it. And so then you look at your life and you're like, mine's not looking like that. Like what's going on? What's wrong?
Yeah. Exactly. Now I have a question for you.
Yes, good. I love to be on the other side. You questioned me.
Well, you said, that you knew that it was the right time for you. So how, we were talking about relationships. She's like, oh yeah, when you meet the one, you just know. Very cliche, but also very true.
Also true. So annoyingly true.
Right?
Yeah.
But now the question is, how did you know when you're like, okay, I'm ready to have kids?
Okay. That's a great question. I love that you asked me that. I think for me, it was really true that like I started to have this maternal instinct and I started to really have this desire to be a mom. And to be really honest, when I met Rob at 34, because my life hadn't like panned out the way that it should, I started to accept this idea that maybe marriage and children were not for me. And that didn't mean I didn't want them, but it was like, if it doesn't happen, I'm still going to be happy. And then I met Rob and we had this amazing relationship and we're having so much fun and we're traveling and I'm building my career and my practice and all these things. And then something just started to slowly like shift in me.
Oh, okay.
That I was like, I knew I wanted to be a mom. So Rob and I were having those conversations and I froze at 37 because we weren't aligned on time. And I think something just totally started to shift for me where I knew I really wanted to do it. I didn't know I didn't know when exactly, but I don't know. I did fall to the timeline piece. Like that started to really pressure me.
Yeah.
But I think there was just, as I got older, I got clearer on what I really wanted. I did so much in my 30s. I had a blast. I traveled everywhere. I got an opportunity to really find what I love to do. And everything kind of really felt in place for me. Yeah. And that has supported my motherhood journey so much because
it felt right.
It felt so right. I'm like secure, completely secure in my relationship, completely secure in my career. And I'm more patient. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. So for me, becoming a mom at 40 was just like meant to be. Yeah. It was meant to be that way. But I had so much angst about it up until then. I wish, and this is part of my intention of the podcast too, is like, enjoy your timeline. Yes. Enjoy your journey. There were so many moments that I only could focus on what I didn't have yet. I was like losing sight of what I had. And I don't want, if I can like minimize that for anybody or safeguard anybody from that. Like that's one of the goals, because there were really hard moments for me.
And thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking. I love to get a question.
Thank you for sharing that, and you hit on a lot of just those points, right? Like when you were talking and sharing, I was reflecting at the same time of my own feelings and what I'm going through, because it's true. It's getting to a point of feeling like, yeah, I'm ready, and not feeling like, oh, I'm missing out on this, or I don't have time, or the patience, right? You said
you need a lot of patience.
the patience and where I'm at in that timeline of what you shared, right? I'm like, half, right? Like I see kids, we love kids. My husband loves kids. He's really good with kids. I love kids. I have like that baby fever, but there are days when I'm like, nope, not today.
Well, let me share this with you, because even as a mother, some days you're going to be like, I don't want to be a mom today. And I want to be very sensitive when I say that, because there are women that aren't mothers. And I know that was hard for me to hear, but I would just want to normalize that too. Yeah. There's going to be days where it's just like, you're overwhelmed, you're overstretched. And like, there's some days where you're like, oh man, that was like really nice when I had my 1-bedroom condo and I was the only one living in it and all these things, but that's perfectly normal too. No. What I'll share for you too is like, I'm a believer, life does not stop after kids. Yeah. Like there's the stuff I've been able to do since I get to be here in LA doing this podcast. Like for me, it hasn't stopped because I have my son, and I don't think that it has to. So all the goals and things you still want to do for yourself are still
I agree with
possible.
You. Yeah. My husband and I, watch and observe and are like, no, we cannot be, those couples or people that like,
but people do it.
People do. And that's okay if that's what they want, for sure. But for us, we want to continue our lives, and our lives will continue, and the kids will be part of it.
Yes.
And our world is not going to revolve around them. They're going to come along for the ride.
I think that's so healthy.
And
I already tell that's going to be a controversial clip that's going to get commented on, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Everybody has their own opinions and the way they want to raise their kids, and that's okay,
Yeah.
But I'm just speaking for us. Like,
yes,
we want to bring them on trips. We want them to be exposed to all these things and normalize that and not tiptoe around the kids.
I think too, my feeling, and I'll speak just for myself as well. Like there's things I want to model to my son. Yeah. Like about his mother having a life and an identity and goals and ambitions. So that's important for me to show him an interest and desire to travel. So that's really important to model to my son. So I like, again, life, that's part of like this life doesn't stop when you have children.
And going back to what you said earlier about just having that calm and peace about, I'm ready to be a mom. But that's what I'm going for, because it's not right now, right? Right now, I'm like, that's not the place I'm in to have that calm and that peace and I'm ready, right? And it's like, it's more of, I have to check myself. I'm like, is this pressure from my family, or is it pressure from society?
I love it. Yeah, I love that you do that.
Is Diana ready?
I love that.
That's the separation of like, what's going on here?
I know. And I think that, without conversations like this, without normalizing different journeys, I've had so many conversations with women where it had to be this moment of like, wait, do I want this? Do I want this career? Or do I want to work in finance? Or did other people tell me that's what I wanted? Do I want to be an early, so it's that moment and clarity to say, wait a second.
Right.
Is this what I want? Or is this what everybody else is telling me that I want? Or is this what everybody else is doing? So I think I should be doing that too.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that was the check that I had with my own career, right? Growing up, from in a family, strict father, strict parents, like this is what you're going to do, you know?
Oh yeah.
And end up going down that, finance route. And then about in my 30s, I'm like, is this really what
I know that moment of like, why did everybody tell me this? Like, I don't enjoy this.
Yeah.
I had the same experience. Purpose. I was told to go into finance. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And they were like, go into finance. And my dad's like, it's not about being happy. I was talking about this on the last episode. And so you go into finance, and I got into finance, and I was like, this is it. I hate this. Right. I would cry. And it started my journey to eventually find what I loved. But it's kind of, we're told this is the path. So you go down that path.
Exactly. So same thing with kids. Just check yourself. Where is this pressure coming from? Is it from yourself? Is it from society? Is it from your family? Separate all those voices.
I love that. Well, I was going to ask you, what do you want to leave the audience with? But that I think is amazing and great is like to separate all the voices.
And that's with not just having children, it's with everything. Your career, marriage. Should you be in a relationship? Should you not be in a relationship?
Where you want to live.
Yeah. You're like, this, because at the end of the day, it's you living your life. It's you, time, resources, money, health, mental health, everything is going to be impacted. You're going to be impacted by the decisions you make.
Yes.
Not what someone else tells you what to do.
And if you're listening to other people and it's not aligned with what you want, you're just not living in like joy or fulfillment that was you taking this leap to do your career now. And I love what your company stands for.
Thank you.
I love that we get to be here in person and we get to have this amazing conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. Thank you.
If you're someone struggling or relating to the topics that we're talking about now, and you're feeling the anxiety or the stress or the pressure of feeling like you're running out of time, you're behind, and you want some extra support, check out my group therapy practice in Midtown Manhattan, NYC Therapeutic Wellness. We have an amazing team of clinicians ready to support you in your journey, to help you feel more grounded, to help you feel more grateful, to help you feel like you're just exactly where you need to be. So check us out at www.nyctherapeuticwellness.com.
Hey guys, I'm Beth. Thank you so much for tuning in to Quiet the Clock. If you want to hear more episodes and learn more about how to dismantle societal timelines, live life on your own terms, live life fully and authentically, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And you can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Quiet the Clock Pod.